Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project webinar. Our title for today is What is Success? And so we will be hearing from our presenter, Kate Kerr. My name is Kirsten Bayer with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support at Illinois State University, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started with today's presenter. As a reminder, all participants on this call are in listen-only mode and cannot unmute yourselves. If you have questions as the webinar proceeds, please post your questions in the Q&A or the chat box. It's important to know that this might be labeled something different depending on where you're accessing us from today due to the GoToWebinar platform. So it might be labeled the chat box, it might be labeled a question box or a text box on your end, but it's simply just a text box where you can converse back and forth with us, the presenters, and ask any questions or make any comments or concerns throughout the session. And then we will address those at the end of the presentation with a Q&A. A reminder that this webinar is being recorded, and the presentation recording and materials from today will be up on the Autism and Training website within 48 hours. And then also, if you locate the drop-down handouts on your GoToWebinar panel, you'll see that the slides from today are already uploaded, and you can download them and follow along with our presenter if you wish today. And then in an effort to be as accessible as possible, this webinar will be offering closed captioning. It's a little spotty right now, but when the presenter starts speaking, it's through her microphone, so it should be a little bit better during the actual presentation. And then at the end of the webinar and tomorrow, each attendee will receive a follow-up email, which will include a survey asking about today's webinar, and it will also have a certificate in that email if you need that. So please feel free to provide feedback and suggestions you have to help improve our upcoming autism webinars. We always like to hear that feedback. And then another reminder, if you do experience faulty internet connection or audio connection this morning and you would prefer to call in, you can do so using the phone number and your original registration email sent to you from GoToWebinar. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Carissa Melody, who's going to introduce us to our presenter for today.
Good morning, Kate, if you'll go to the next slide, please. So this project has been brought to you by the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project. We develop and present resources that assist individuals with autism in their transition from secondary education to post-secondary education or employment. ATTA provides training and support to important stakeholders as they work to provide an equitable experience for individuals on the autism spectrum. Next slide, please, Kate. So I am Carissa Melody, and I work for the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support, and ICSPS creates supports and delivers professional development for education professionals across Illinois. We provide technical assistance, develop publications, and facilitate program improvement strategies for our partners as they relate to college transition, recruitment, retention, and completion, encouraging achievement of special population learners. ICSPS was founded in 1977 at Illinois State University and is housed in the Educational Administration and Foundations Department in the College of Education. Next slide, please, Kate. So again, like I said, it's been brought to you by the Illinois State Board of Education, has offered a grant to create this Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project. So next slide, please. So for the project, I really want to get a feel for what areas in Illinois we are reaching. And so I've just kind of put up here the ISB fiscal map, and I've combined which region. So I combined Chicago and the Northwest, kind of that upper Northwest, East Central, Southwest, and Southeast. So just kind of let us know which region you best represent. Thank you. Yep, we're definitely reaching our Chicago Northeast region the most, and then right here in Central Illinois, the East Central region, and then Southeast, we've got to reach them. So I'll be working on reaching out to some people down there and see if we can get them involved in this project. Okay, so the next slide is just going to be which stakeholder do you best represent? And for this one, you can choose all that apply. You might be an educator and a parent or family member. I'll give you just a minute to answer this one. Okay, great. We're reaching the educators. I love that there are some young adults on here and employers and community members and some families. So thank you so much for taking my polls. It really helps us to figure out which direction we need to go with this project and who else we can still reach. So next slide. I just stuck my information in there as the moderator, even though Kirsten will probably do more moderating than I do. But here's my information if you want to reach me about the Autism Training and Technical Assistance Project. Otherwise, I am so excited that I was introduced to Kate by a friend. We are just so proud to have here with us today. She's a guest speaker for Autism Awareness Month, which we know we want to celebrate autism and raise awareness and acceptance all year long, but April's definitely designated as Autism Awareness Month. Kate is a successful college student at Bradley University in Peoria. She was diagnosed at the age of 16 with Autism Spectrum Disorder. Today, she's going to be covering some topics such as succeeding in life while dealing with a lifelong disability, setting realistic goals, staying positive when encountering barriers, and knowing when to ask for help. Kate is going to share some of her personal experiences, how she's finding success, and she will leave time for questions at the end. So thank you so much for joining us. Kate, please take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to have you all with me here today. We're going to talk about success from a couple of different angles, and I've got a brief layout of that here. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about thinking about the idea of success, then move on to individualized versions of success, and then finally, we'll talk about the different ways to succeed. The different methods and tools that are necessary to keep in mind for all different types of success, really, but specifically today, we're talking about how success can look a little bit different for different people and how we have to keep special things in mind because of that. So what is success? Rejecting traditional milestones in favor of authentic success. So the reason I'm the one telling you about success today is that a lot of us have rather influenced ideas of what success looks like based on what we see in other people or in the media. And that can really make us expect that success should look a certain way. And for a lot of people of all different types, that idea of success is really idealized, but not really attainable. It's not something that is sustainable or functional for their life. And so we have to understand how to find that happiness and fulfillment, even if it doesn't look the way we might hope it does or the way we thought it might. So a little bit about me. As mentioned, I am a college student at Bradley University. I'm studying statistics, which is a lot of math, but I think it's pretty interesting to go through the college experience as an autistic young adult and really see how many different things I'm getting out of it besides academics, which is also part of what I'll discuss today. I love spending time outside and with animals. I'm very passionate in general. I'm pretty emotional. I'm pretty talkative, and those things aren't really what you might think of when you think of autism spectrum disorder. And that's part of why success has to be so individualized, because for me, having a good conversation or cracking a joke is a pretty normal version of success for me. But for other people, working up to casual conversation might be more of a challenge. So one idea that we really have to challenge when we're talking about success in individuals with complex or lifelong disabilities is the concept of getting better. So for disorders like autism, as well as many others, there's no cure. There is not a medicine to take or a procedure to get, and even therapies and medications can only go so far. Long story short, these are struggles that will never go away. So sometimes when an individual with lifelong struggles looks at themselves in terms of success and where they are going in life, they ask, how will I find success if these difficulties never leave? You know, if I am fighting this battle now and it will never change, and I'll be fighting that battle my whole life and it's hard now, what does that mean in terms of succeeding? What does that mean in terms of making my life good for me? If life is hard in a way that is really difficult to deal with on a daily basis, if you're struggling a lot, maybe day to day in high school, or maybe you're really having trouble at home, and life is hard, there can be an attitude in society of life is hard, suck it up, cupcake, deal with it. But the problem isn't a problem of effort, and it isn't a problem of willingness to work hard. It's about the pain associated with that hard work and the lack of reward. And so that can come across as though the message is, life will always suck. This is not really going to get better. And that can be really difficult to think about. If you're have in your mind the idea that I'm the reason I won't be able to achieve my dreams, my disability is what is holding me back. These are struggles I will have to fight for my whole life. How am I supposed to succeed in that? How am I supposed to be happy? And so this is where the internal concept of success really is important. We have to look at ourselves and be willing to let go of maybe what we thought success would look like. This can even be a grieving process if you had hopes or have hopes of maybe what success could have looked like for you in a different situation. And I think for a lot of people just in the world who maybe have a hope that they had to give up or a goal that they had to change for something more manageable, you know this, you know that we have to be realistic about where we're going, but that doesn't mean we can't be disappointed at some of the places we're not. So as you can see on the slide, everyone is faking their success. There is no one on the planet anywhere who is perfectly happy and successful in all aspects of their life. And it's really important to not try and measure up with the people around you in terms of success. This can be especially difficult in high school and college, where you're really in a narrow range of ages and positions of people around you. So all of your friends, all of the people you interact with on a daily basis are all at similar points in life. And so that can make it really difficult to remember to separate yourself from their accomplishments and to not try and weigh yourself against their standards. Success really looks different in different situations, and what makes you happy might not be what another person values. Some people absolutely love being outdoors. They would love to live in a cabin on the river and see people once a month when they go into town for groceries. Other people would absolutely love to live in New York City, to live on the 10th floor of an apartment building and be able to walk everywhere and take public transportation and really be in a vibrant community with lots of happenings. And these two people in those two situations would both consider themselves successful in that aspect of their life if they were living in those ways, even though those are extremely different lifestyles. And so that's where we have to look at our own priorities of what do we need in our life, what do we want in our life, and what are the tools we can use to get those things. There isn't a prize for doing things the hard way. Using your resources to your advantage is not just allowed, it's encouraged. It is really, really important to understand this, that there are ways to succeed and be happy. This can be really difficult in times like high school, where students are dealing with so many different growing and changing difficulties in their own lives. And so it's really important to keep in mind that regardless of your struggles, regardless of your strengths, there are different ways to find that happiness and satisfaction in life in a way that we can call our own version of success. So to be able to understand what we're looking for in our lives, we really have to peel back the layers of our own selves. We have to understand our areas of strength, even if it's not a strength that you might have wanted. Some people are really good at science or math or history or art. And maybe for someone who is a naturally gifted artist who wants to be a doctor, that's not easy to acknowledge because it's not a skill that fits into maybe the idea of success that you have for yourself. And so the first thing is it's really important to know what are the areas that I'm actually good at. And then the complement to that are what are the areas that are difficult for me, even if they contradict what you want to do. If I'm a very bad public speaker and I really struggle to speak in public situations, that would be hard to acknowledge if I really wanted to be a public speaker. And so we have to find these upper and lower bounds of our abilities and use that as a guideline for where we aim in life. Now, of course, as we get older, as we learn new skills or we gain new difficulties, these boundaries might shift. And it's important to keep an eye on those so as to give yourself the best chance of success by working within your range of success. There's often the idea of this comfort zone and then getting out of your comfort zone. And so if you stay in your comfort zone, that's where everything's fine, it's safe, but you're not really growing, you're not really learning new things or challenging yourself. But then if you go too far out of your comfort zone, you're in this panic zone. You are facing too many difficulties, too many uncomfortable or unfamiliar things, and you can't grow there either. You're just going to wear yourself down. And so you have to work in that middle zone, which is the area where you can really grow and you can change and move forward towards whatever that idea of success is. And moving forward is in its own way a form of success because a lot of life is about that journey, not the destination. And so on that vein, you have to look at what are your true values and goals. Not what you think would be impressive, not what is society telling you would be a good goal. what actually matters in your life? Do you care if you have a big house so long as you have a dog? Do you not care if you're working an office job in a cubicle, or would you prefer to work with your hands? The things that make up your day-to-day life are the ones we have to consider in terms of success, because that's what makes up life. If you're happy at Disney World and you get to go to Disney World once a year, that's great. Disney is fun, but that's only one day a year. If you're happy cooking in the kitchen with some music on and you do that twice a week, that's 104 times a week. That's a lot more. You have to be able to find success and satisfaction in the things that make up your life and that are actually accomplishments. Because a lot of people would say that being able to be happy at home is amazing, that that's a great goal, that means that life is good. Because in my mind, success isn't about status. It isn't about external trappings, I guess. It's not about winning awards or making it into the newspaper. Success is about achieving the things in life that are important to you and being able to go through life happily. Maybe not perfectly, but to be able to go through life and things are okay, things are good. And that's a quieter version of success. And especially for ambitious young adults in high school and college, that can be a difficult concept to come to terms with. But you keep going, and it can be really good to keep going. So what really helps and hurts you? What are the things in your day-to-day life that actually make you happy? Not what are the things that you think should make you happy, but what actually in your day makes you happy? If you look back at your past week and you think to yourself about the different things you did and how they made you feel, you might be surprised to find that there are some things in life that make you really happy that you didn't realize. And when you find those things that make you happy, you can do them on purpose. So for me, it makes me happy to spend time outside. So maybe I go outside every day. And that's a version of success, because that's a way in which I have made my life better for myself, where I've made myself happier and I'm doing the things in life that I want to do. And I'm able to recognize that and reach out for it. And so the standards of success that we form have to really be adapted to ourselves. What is and isn't okay to do, want, or need. We have to be able to say, this is my version of success, even if it's not someone else's. It's okay to do these different things to be successful, even if it's maybe not the quote unquote normal path. And it's okay to need certain helps along the way, to reach out to people and ask them for assistance, or to look at those around you and be able to see in them things that you want to emulate in yourself. And so part of that are the timelines of our life. So an academic or career timeline, a social timeline, or an independence timeline. These are things that we often see as having a very set pattern. So, okay, 4 years of high school, now 4 years of college, now a career. And okay, I have friends in high school, and then I get into, I party and get into a relationship in college, and then I settle down and get married. Or I get a part-time job in high school or college, and then I move out of my parents' house and I cook my own meals and I support myself and I know what I'm doing. That's not really a realistic goal for most people. I think that all people have at least one of those areas where maybe they don't do it exactly the way they see other people doing it. But that's okay, because it's more important to do things in a way that works than to do them in the way that is supposed to work. If you can't do something the way you're supposed to, simply because of the method, and there's another method that you can use to achieve that same goal, then you use that method, even if it's a little strange. So separating those milestones of the different goals or stepping stones along your life as you work towards different areas of individuality and success and growth and career, we can reject the things that we think are normal or impressive or cool. It's not cool to live with your parents when you're a junior in college, but by doing things in a way that allows you to actually succeed, by doing things in a way that works for you, you find much better success that way, because you can accomplish the same goals by taking a bit of a different route. So maybe instead of being a full-time student with a degree in 4 years, leaving home for college and being self-sufficient, be taking a schedule that allows comfort and health, even if that means half days or a reduced course load. That could mean planning in an extra semester or an extra year for high school or college. And these are the types of things where understanding those limitations and upper and lower boundaries can really help you work within the area of success for yourself, because you're not trying to exceed your abilities in a way that will be harmful to your success. So only take on what is reasonable to you to manage in a sustainable way. And that can sometimes mean needing to be humble and get help. The name of the game is tenacity. We might have to go about things a different way than we expect. And so maybe you wanted to make lemonade and life takes away your lemons, make orange juice instead. There's different ways to find a version of success that works for you, even if it maybe looks a little different than what you expected. So when we're working towards these goals, there's this duality of diligent dedication versus adaptive change. We think that, okay, either I have to be working really hard towards my goals, I have to be focused, I have to be nose to the grindstone, keep my head down and work, really work hard to accomplish these things and not waver. But then there's also the idea of, okay, if success isn't going to look the way that I want it to, I have to be flexible. I have to be willing to adapt to a new situation and to look at new answers, to change my mind quickly and let things take a different path. Especially for those of us on the spectrum, that can be really difficult because it can be upsetting to expect things one way and then have to do them another when you are really preparing to do well in a certain direction. But this isn't a one versus the other. It's a different type of mindset for different types of tasks. So day by day versus mid-distance versus long-term, we have different types of mindsets that we need to succeed in these ranges. So mid-distance goals, for example, might be, I want to get 4 A's and 1 B this semester. I want to do well in my classes. And so the diligent part of that, the dedication towards reaching that goal, might be a good student, go to study groups, make sure I'm attending all my classes and taking good notes. But on a day-by-day basis, you might have to be adaptive to that. If you're having a bad day, if you're sick or you have a lot of other tasks to do or something else comes up, being successful on that day might mean focusing your attention in schooling only on going to classes and taking notes, not doing other things that day. But by taking care of yourself, you can help avoid burnout. You can help keep yourself in a manageable path that's going to be sustainable. So I've said this a few times and I do want to emphasize it. We're looking at long-term success. We're looking at how does a realistic goal work out over a long period of time. We really want something to be able to last. It doesn't matter if you do phenomenally on one day if every other day is pretty hard. And so that's why prioritization and willingness to take care of yourself might sometimes feel a little bit as though you are letting go of goals or as though you're relaxing your effort. But really it's about balance. It's about maintaining that success. So I use the metaphor here of juggling. People talk about being really busy with a lot of different things as juggling a lot of balls. Some are plastic and some are glass, and it's okay to drop the plastic ones sometimes. So eat cereal for dinner if you're too tired to cook. Cancel plans with a friend if you need to stay home and rest. There are things that we can put aside every once in a while and be adaptive with those things because it allows us in a longer stretch of time to be more successful. So when prioritizing on the shorter term level, so maybe looking at a week or a month or a semester, that sort of a time scale, prioritizing outside your head can be really helpful. So talk about it. I personally find it really helpful to talk about my thoughts and my problems to other people. I have and will call friends and talk about my math homework with them when I'm stuck on a problem, even if they have no idea how to solve it. But talking about it helps me rearrange my thoughts in a different way that helps me figure out what was blocking me. So talking about it, writing it down, putting it in your calendar. I use sticky notes all the time. I put sticky notes on the back of my iPad. I put sticky notes on my wall. I put sticky notes in my binder at school. I carry them with me in my backpack because these are a way that by writing it down, I can help solidify in my mind and in my prioritization that these are the things that I need to accomplish and focus on. So this is also a really good way to help with time management skills, is to have sticky notes with different assignments and their due dates. And then you can arrange them in the order they're due. And that can help you figure out what you need to work on. If you have several different homework assignments or several different tasks that you need to get done, being able to figure out what to start first can be really helpful at getting past the roadblock of anxiety that can make starting a task difficult. Asking for advice from a trusted person is also a fantastic way to prioritize and to figure out your approach to your short and midterm goals, like I was mentioning. So teachers can be great at this, mentors, friends, parents. There's a lot of different people in your life that you can look to and who also might look to you for talking about and getting advice for making decisions and for planning your approach to different tasks. So the resources, other than people that are good, there are lots of different organizational tools, apps, websites that can help give you advice on everything from meditation, calming down enough to be in that mindset where you're being effective. YouTube videos, there are Clean With Me or Study With Me YouTube videos where someone records themselves studying or cleaning their room or those sorts of things and helps show what success in that looks like and gives an example of how to do those tasks, where again, getting past that roadblock of what do I do first, an example can be really helpful for that. And so then finally, going back to your values and goals, this is where prioritization really matters. This is the point of prioritization, is to work on the things that lead you towards your values and goals in a way that works. So if it's really important to you that you do well in school and not as important to you that your clothes are folded and put away, then you study instead of doing your laundry. So keeping in mind those individualized versions of success based on your own values and goals, as well as your strengths and weaknesses, is also a short-term concept. So no man is an island. This is a pretty well-known saying because it's true. It is really necessary in life to go through and be willing to accept help in various forms from various people. So asking questions like, what are my choices? What is a way to do this that would work better for me? Who are the people who can help me succeed? Are really good questions to ask when you find yourself struggling or trying to plan for the future and you are not sure about how to do it. So parents, teachers, counselors or therapists, mentors, friends, these are all people who you can reach out to, even if it's just to spend time together, who can maybe help you feel a little more solidified. And so for the educators, parents, employers in the audience, this is where one of your really important and valuable roles is to help recognize from an outside perspective some of those options in terms of methods or in terms of resources that can be so helpful when you see someone who's a little bit stuck in a rut and not sure how to keep going. And so the areas of help that can be really important are advocacy. It can be really difficult to speak up for yourself about something that is difficult, especially if it's in an area that you might feel ashamed about. But that's where listening to others when they advocate for themselves, as well as being an advocate for yourself, is important, because it's one of those things where if you don't do anything, the only option is that nothing happens. But if you reach out and voice your needs and ask for help, nothing could happen, but you could also really receive the assistance you need. And so knowing that reaching out for help is worth it is important, and knowing that others will help you when you reach out, and having a little bit of faith in the people around you can be really important. Time management can be a good one as well, not in terms of showing up late to appointments, but more in terms of, again, that sustainability. Having one day that is completely crowded and busy is fine, but if you have that continuously throughout a semester, that's going to be really difficult to keep up with. And so knowing how to plan your schedule from a long-term perspective can be really important. Knowing, okay, yes, this would be really fun for a day, but if I did this for the 15 weeks of a semester, it would feel really hard. I'd be so tired. I would start doing poorly on my assignments. I would be upset. I'd be losing touch with my friends because I'm so busy. And so, again, knowing those limitations in terms of what is a sustainable method for me, and going back again then also to the concept of things like half days or reduced schedules, is really good. Academic accommodations can come in lots of shapes and sizes. Extra time on tests, note-taking help. There's lots of different ways you can get different academic accommodations, and usually there is a dedicated person who you can go to talk about problems and figure out what academic accommodations are available for you. That might be your school's disability office or student accommodations, as well as other resources on campus that might not be specifically accommodations for disabilities, but rather just general student services, such as tutoring or peer mentoring for academics. Independence supports is something that sounds a little bit contrary, but support in gaining independence can be really necessary in terms of transitioning into independence, and helping someone become independent where they are maybe feeling anxious about what independence looks like. So in that area, independence supports might look like sorry, I just lost my words for a second there. It can look like friend groups who are able to give advice. It could look like different forms of coaching, such as a life coach or executive function type coach who can help you figure out different approaches and different skills. A lot of universities have supports in this area that are really excellent. So dorms that are apartments, for example, are a great way to transition from dorm life to independent living. Or there are also things like partial meal plans. If you are ready to start cooking for yourself, but want to still have the option to have those pre-made meals. LLCs or living learning communities are often present on campuses that are groups specifically of students with similar areas of interest or areas of effort, maybe by major or by other life circumstances, who live together and might have, for example, a communal study room and weekly activities. These are also a really good way to find a bit of that support in being away from home, or in terms of studying by yourself, or reaching out to others for social activities, by having a little bit of that guidance, which is connected to the last 2 bullet points on my slide here, social and emotional supports. One surprising support that I utilize that you might not think of is sorority life. I am a member of a sorority. I absolutely love it. It is a great way for me to feel like I have help making friends. I don't have to worry about trying to reach out to a dozen different people in all of my classes and hope that some of them respond. I kind of have that pre-built-in connection to people where it makes it much easier to reach out and make friends. We have activities that are planned already. We do group study sessions. And next year, I'm planning on living in the sorority house, which will have meals. It will be right near campus, just a block away. And it will be an opportunity to practice living away from home, living on campus, living and dealing with other people, while still having those awesome supports of having meals made for me, of knowing the people I'm dorming with, and having those communal resources. And so that's where thinking outside the box a little bit can be really interesting and valuable. Assignment help is an interesting one because, for me at least, I don't have academic trouble in the way that needs tutoring. It's not a lack of effort, but rather a difficulty properly directing that effort. And so a lot of teachers are better equipped just in terms of familiarity with students who are maybe struggling academically because they need that academic help learning the material, who maybe need to be helped with taking better notes or reviewing a lesson. But for different types of help, it can be challenging. How do you deal with a student who is clearly struggling in some way, but still getting an A in the class? That can be something that is really challenging to figure out because it's unfamiliar and it's a little awkward. This student might need help, but it can be difficult to figure out what kind of help and why. And so a couple things that I have found so helpful in terms of better success academically by working with my teachers and professors have been things like meeting for office hours. My professors have been generally fantastic about willingness to accommodate a meeting, saying, yes, sure, I will meet with you and we can discuss what your concern is. Sometimes for complex assignments that don't have specific instructions or a rubric, it can be difficult to understand how to get started and how to do the task well when you're not sure of what the finished product needs to look like. And so that's where showing an example of the completed assignment can be really useful. Recently, this semester, I had an assignment where I needed to write a paper, and I wasn't quite sure what the professor was looking for. There were a couple different ways that I could interpret the prompt, and I wasn't sure which one of those was what would be what the professor was looking for. And so that was making me anxious. I wasn't able to complete that assignment. And so I emailed my professor. I said, "Dear Dr. Henderson, I don't understand this assignment. Could you please give me a little bit of clarification on what you're looking for here?" And she got back to me right away saying, "Sure, this is what I meant. Let me know if you have any more questions." And then the next time I saw her in class, she double checked with me that I had understood her email. And so that was really helpful to me. I really value that kind of interaction with my teachers where they are willing to answer my dumb questions, where they're not questions that other students have, because I have different intuitive leaps. And so sometimes I don't come to the same conclusions that others naturally can come to. Suggesting places to look for guidance is another really good one. If a professor, for example, can't give direct help or knows that a different method would work, there are lots of different places to look for guidance, whether that's tutoring or study groups. I know that something I have found extremely helpful is making group chats online with my classmates and being able to talk with them and ask questions and share resources. And it really does go both ways. Sometimes I have a strange question where I'm not sure what the assignment is asking for. Maybe I don't know how to get started, or I don't understand what formula I'm supposed to use because I don't understand the prompt. I can ask my classmates and they can give me assistance. But then also my classmates sometimes ask, "Did anyone take notes last Friday? I missed it and I read the chapter, but I didn't get this part. I want to figure out what he was saying in class." And so I can say, "Sure, I took great notes. I'll send you a picture of my notes. Glad we can collaborate on this class." And besides academic help, it really provides a sense of camaraderie where you are connected to the people who often have, if not the same, but similar difficulties to what you have, where you're both studying the same material and working on the same assignments and the same professor, where maybe you have different questions on the same topic, can really feel good in terms of making you feel as though your success doesn't feel that different, and you don't have struggles that are that different. And so finally, allowing an extension. Sometimes I myself have bad brain days, is how I refer to it. Days where I feel like I'm trying to concentrate on something, like I'm trying to make sense of things, and it's like trying to get water to stick to wax paper. I feel like I'm putting in a lot of effort. I'm working really hard. My mind is really, really working, but I'm not able to reach that point of effectiveness where I'm not being efficient with my time. I'm not being productive, even though I'm putting in the hours, even though I filled up 3 pages of scratched paper, I still haven't solved the problem. And so that's where a little bit of flexibility from a professor or a teacher saying, yes, you can have an extra day, keep working at it, get it back to me when you can be an amazing thing, because maybe the next day I come back to it and I go, oh, I see what I needed to do. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm able to solve the problem. And so in that situation, it's not a problem of I don't know the material, I wasn't paying attention. It was a problem of my brain was having some difficulty making, as I mentioned, those intuitive leaps. And I just needed a little bit more time to process what was going on to be able to arrive at the conclusion. So clarity and truth-telling are one of the areas, moving on from academics into more life choices. One of the really excellent things that people in your life can do is be a truth teller. So it can be really difficult to make good decisions when you don't know what makes a decision good. Where you have to get help asking questions like, what are my choices? What is the best case, worst case, and most likely outcomes? Is this concern a real problem, or am I just having anxiety about it? What sounds fun? What sounds like a good idea, but what actually will work well? And then difficulties versus benefits of different options. And so I know that something that I really value from a variety of people in my life, ranging from friends to family to classmates or professors, is that assistance in figuring out what my options are in terms of a decision. And that's where social interactions with peers can be a really great way to get that modeled for you, where I see my friends making decisions and I can hear them talk about their thought processes, and they can talk about the things that are important to them. That can give me a little bit of understanding into how I might go about those things myself. And then outsider perspectives, more from a parent or a teacher who isn't that same level of friend peer, who can say, you're missing an option, or I don't think you're thinking of this consequence, or maybe you don't realize this benefit. And so that's where, when the adults and people of guidance in my life can be really beneficial about providing that clarity, where just like with the assignment, I don't know what the end is supposed to look like, and so I'm having trouble making the decisions that get me there. And so having someone to help with the things of modeling how to figure out those choices. So learning how to make those choices myself, learning how to evaluate my different options, and then having someone who's able to provide that advice in terms of being experienced with those types of options and who already knows what the possible outcomes are the two areas that can really make clarity in life help. And then something I hear a lot of people ask is about getting a diagnosis. So I think that there is a struggle about the idea of getting a diagnosis, especially due to the social stigma. This is going away. This is lessening in amazing ways that I am very glad to see, but it's still a valid concern. If a teacher forgets about my disability because they see me as smart, or someone puts me down for being autistic, saying you're not really autistic, you're not autistic like my 5-year-old son is autistic, and you have to deal with this duality of being college bound, but also having a disability. That's a dualism that can be difficult to come to terms with. And so that's where the concept of success can be nuanced. It can be really challenging to have that contrary nature of, okay, I have talents and skills that are worthy of pursuit, that I want to continue to grow and utilize, but then I have struggles that significantly impact my ability with the world. And so that's where a lot of people have this concept of perceived drawbacks. Parents might not tell their children about their diagnosis for many years, not wanting their child to know that they are different. They worry about judgment from other people or exclusion from opportunities. I am delighted to inform you that those fears are not as bad as you might think. I have found surprisingly wonderful ways to interact with the world through my autism. I know myself better. I know my own needs and struggles much better, which helps me better give myself the support and seek out the support I need. It helps me understand the perception others have of me and that I have of others that is impacting that communication between us because of the autism. It shows me access to resources that I otherwise might not have sought out and connection to a community that I might not have otherwise found. There's also some really fun aspects to it. I am able to give presentations like this, to be able to reach out to the world and share my thoughts and really get to have some amazing conversations with people by sharing my unique perspective in the world. I have helped several people obtain their own diagnosis, both for ADHD and for autism. I have helped people been directed towards accommodations, and I have really uniquely connected with some of my friends and people in really neat ways. I have friends who will joke with me about my autism. We were on a hike, myself and some of the girls in my sorority, we were on a hike this spring about a month ago, and I was stopping rather frequently to look at mushrooms because I thought they were really fun and interesting. And so at one point I was like, sorry for stopping and looking at all the mushrooms. I know it's, you know, a little annoying to keep stopping so I can go look at a fungus. And my friend Kaylin goes, Kate, it's fine. I get it. It's the mushroom autism. And it was so funny to me. It was hilarious because she wasn't making fun of me. She was making fun with me. My friends tell me that they love my unique sense of humor. They love that I am bold and outgoing and that I have a different perspective, that I am unashamed of being myself. That's really cool. My friends don't like me despite my autism. They like me because of my autism. That's amazing. What an amazing way to be proud of myself, to find huge amounts of success in terms of building social connections, in being happy interacting with other people. And I'm also finding success being open about it in terms of career and networking. I have an internship lined up this summer with the National Institute of Health. I'm extremely excited. I get to connect with different professionals and learn about how to better transition myself to the professional world. I get help integrating myself into the professional community. I have this opportunity because of my autism. It's a program specifically designed to provide guidance and opportunities for research to students in college who need a little bit of help with that transition, who need a little bit of extra guidance and support with those programs. And so this summer, I have a mentor. I have a series of webinars to attend on concepts like being a resilient scientist. And I'm making some amazing connections to some really cool people. And this has the opportunity in the future to become a research assistantship, to maybe become a place to work as a career, or to get sponsorship for a graduate program. And I know that the people involved in that program will understand my needs and will be willing to work with me. This is not something that has hindered me in terms of career aspirations, but rather helped me with my career aspirations because of giving me and my employer or the other people in my field better understanding of each other and that better ability to work effectively. Professors who I know at Bradley University have had really good conversations with me about some of the ways that I perceive things and that I go about things. And some of those can have excellent strengths in the workforce. They have applications that make me a good candidate, that make me a strong applicant, because I am able to approach things from a different perspective, and I am able to work with my employer in a way that is unique to myself and that can really bring unique skills to the table. And so some of my thoughts wrapping up here are that I want you to have gained from this the idea that success can look different for your different people in your life, for yourself versus maybe your students or your friends or your children or your neighbor or your parent. And that you've been able to hear from my perspective and gotten a better understanding of how autism can really be complexly linked to success. To be able to know that the duality of skills and weaknesses is a concept that can be worked with, and that when we seek out things in life that will be our idea of success, that there are a wide variety of ways to achieve those things, that there are many paths that will take you, all roads lead to Rome. There are many ways to accomplish the things in life that you want to accomplish through different methods and different skills. And so success really is about finding your own desires as unique to you, your own skills, your own unique abilities, where your success is something that truly makes you happy, that is something you can actually attain and that you can find in your life, as well as finding the skills that you can grow in yourself to make your life the best version that you can, where you get the opportunity to really learn how to approach things in different ways, and that can really be valuable and important to go off the beaten path. And so now we get the chance to do a bit of questions and conversations. I have my email up there if you want to shoot me an email. I'm pretty good about replying, and I'd be happy if you have any specific questions that you'd like to reach out to me about. I'm generally willing to do that. I'm pretty good at making those connections with people, and I'd love the chance to be able to connect with you all.
Kate, thank you so much. I just want to say that you are wise beyond your years. I really loved the know yourself to grow yourself line, and then that success is achieved through things in life that are important to you. So I love that you figured this out, and I think it's one that we all can learn from, and just make sure we're prioritizing what success is to us and focusing on that. So thank you so much for a really well done webinar. We are a little over today. There is in the chat, the survey link is there, but you'll receive this link tomorrow also. And then there's a link to the ATTA website, the autismcollegeandcareer.com. So if anyone has any questions, Kirsten, I didn't see any questions, but we can answer a couple now maybe, or if there's a lot, then we can put together an FAQ sheet and send that out later. So do you see anything, Kirsten?
There is no questions, but a couple comments for you, Kate. So Jen said, so true about students who don't look or act like the typical autistic student, as if there is a typical autistic person. And then Sandra said, an excellent presentation. Kate, you will go far. I'm confident you will reach your goals. And Carrie has stated, so inspiring, thank you for sharing. So no questions at this time. I did go ahead and put the survey, the follow-up survey in the chat to all of you. If you would like to leave us feedback, we would greatly appreciate it on this session. And if you have any interests coming up related to autism and the autism world, we would love to know the suggestions for future webinars that you would like to hear as well. So you can leave that feedback on the survey. There also is a link to our Autism College and Career website where you can find the slides from today, as well as you will also be able to find the recording up there. The recording will be posted in about 48 hours, so give us a little bit to get that up there, but that's the direct link. And that same information will be pushed out to you in the follow-up email tomorrow morning. So I just want to thank everyone again for joining us today. Thank you to Kate and Carissa, and everyone have a great rest of your Tuesday.